For centuries, the Freemasons have been whispered about in shadows. A global fraternity of secrets, rituals, and symbols. Their influence is legendary, their membership fiercely guarded. But in Nigeria, a nation built on a foundation of faith and tradition, their presence is far from hidden. They stand in plain sight, their temples and halls a silent testimony to a network of power and influence that has shaped the very destiny of a country. This is not just a story of a secret society. This is the story of how a British colonial fraternity became woven into the fabric of Nigerian power, and how the names behind the symbols are more familiar than you might think. To understand Freemasonry in Nigeria, you must first understand the ghosts of empire that brought it here. It wasn't just a coincidence that the first Masonic lodge was established in Lagos in 1867. This was the era of the British Empire, a time when a new, rigid order was being imposed on ancient lands. Freemasonry arrived not as an indigenous movement, but as a tool of colonial administration. The British officers, civil servants, and merchants who ran the colony needed a space, a network, to solidify their power and maintain their social hierarchy. The Masonic Lodge provided just that. It was a replica of the British class system, transplanted onto Nigerian soil. Here, colonial administrators, military officers, and businessmen could meet under a cloak of secrecy and fraternity, away from the prying eyes of the local populace. The First District Grand Lodge of Nigeria was officially constituted in 1913, with a founding membership that was almost exclusively British. Its First District Grand Master was Sir Willoughby Osborne, the Chief Justice of Southern Nigeria. From the very beginning, Freemasonry was synonymous with the highest echelons of colonial power. But something shifted. As the push for independence grew, so too did the number of indigenous Nigerians joining the ranks. This was a critical turning point. For the emerging Nigerian elite, joining the lodge wasn't just about social networking. It was about gaining access to the corridors of power, learning the unspoken rules of the colonial masters, and navigating the new world they were building. As Nigeria moved towards self-governance, a new class of leaders emerged. Educated in British universities, they were at home in both their traditional Nigerian cultures and the modern, Western-influenced world. Many of them were also Freemasons. Their membership was not a secret to those in the know. It was, in some circles, a badge of honor. Take for example, Sir Adeyemo Alakija. A towering figure in Nigeria's pre-independence history. He was a lawyer, a newspaper proprietor, and a co-founder of the influential Egbe Omo Odujuwa, a Yoruba cultural organization. But he was also a prominent Freemason, holding the title of Grand Master of the Reformed Ogboni Fraternity, an organization that, while distinct from Freemasonry, adopted many of its symbols and structures. Alakija's life embodies the dual identity of the Nigerian elite, rooted in tradition, yet fluent in the languages of Western power. Perhaps the most significant name on the list is that of the first president of Nigeria, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. While the secrecy of the fraternity makes definitive public records rare, it is widely acknowledged in historical circles and on the fraternity's own records that Azikiwe was a member of the Freemasons. A man who championed a Pan-Africanist vision, a founding father of a nation, was also a member of a society that was an offshoot of the very empire he fought to overthrow. This is a fascinating paradox. How does one reconcile the fight for freedom with membership in a society so intrinsically linked to the colonial past? The answer lies in understanding the nature of power. For these men, Freemasonry was not a betrayal of their people, but a strategic tool. It was a space where they could negotiate, build alliances, and consolidate influence with both their fellow Nigerians and the departing British. The ties that bind in Freemasonry are not just symbolic, they are a network of trust, loyalty, and mutual support. If Freemasonry was a tool for the independence-era elite, what is it today? In modern Nigeria, the fraternity is no longer a colonial institution. It has been fully indigenized, its membership now a who's who of the nation's political, business, and cultural landscape. The names are not shouted from the rooftops, but they are often found in biographies, obituaries, and the official publications of the Grand Lodges themselves. Consider the role of traditional rulers. In Nigeria, traditional authority and modern political power often intertwine. It is no accident that many of the most respected and influential traditional rulers have been openly associated with Freemasonry. Their membership lends an air of legitimacy and prestige to the lodges, while the network provides them with powerful connections far beyond the borders of their kingdoms. Names like Oba Okunade Sijwad, the late Oni of Ife, and Oba Adiyinka Oikan II, the late Oba of Lagos, have been publicly listed as eminent Freemasons. These are not just ceremonial leaders, they are cultural and political arbiters, revered by millions. Their presence in the fraternity underscores its deep-seated integration into Nigeria's power structure. But the network extends beyond traditional rulers. It reaches into the very heart of the Nigerian economy and political system. While the current district Grand Master, Chief Olusegun Moses Taiga, a prominent businessman, may not be a household name to the international audience, his position at the apex of the fraternity in Nigeria signifies the enduring link between business, influence, and the Masonic network. The Grand Lodge's website itself lists a host of prominent, verifiable members, including legal luminaries, medical doctors, and engineers. It is a roll call of Nigeria's professional and economic elite. This is where the story gets more interesting. In a country where power is often seen as being concentrated in a few hands, the existence of such a powerful, interconnected, and private network raises questions. Are these simply benevolent men seeking to improve society, as the fraternity claims? Or is this an informal system of patronage, where favors are exchanged, contracts are awarded, and careers are made not on merit alone, but on a shared bond of brotherhood? The Freemasons in Nigeria do not exist in a vacuum. They are a part of a global network, a global fraternity. The lodges in Nigeria, whether operating under the United Grand Lodge of England or the Grand Lodge of Scotland, are an official part of a larger global system. This connection means that the bonds of brotherhood stretch across continents. A Freemason in Lagos can visit a lodge in London, New York, or Paris and be welcomed as a brother. This global web has significant implications. It provides a unique, non-governmental channel for influence, a private diplomatic corps operating beneath the surface of official relations. When a powerful Nigerian businessman or politician is also a Freemason, they are not just connected to their local peers, they are connected to a global community of the influential and well-connected. For the average Nigerian, Freemasonry remains a source of both fascination and suspicion. The secrecy surrounding its rituals, the whispered stories of power and wealth, and the lack of transparency have often led to conflation with occultism and cults. This misunderstanding is rooted in Nigeria's deep religiosity, where anything perceived as a secret society is often viewed with mistrust. Yet, to the members, the rituals are not a cult, but allegorical lessons in morality and virtue. They claim their purpose is to make good men better, to promote charity, and to foster a sense of community. The Grand Lodge of Nigeria engages in charitable works, from donating to hospitals to providing scholarships. This is the public face of the fraternity, a face of philanthropy and community building. But can we separate the philanthropic deeds from the powerful network that performs them? Can we ignore the fact that the men who hold the keys to the fraternity are often the same men who hold the keys to the nation's economy and government? The story of Freemasonry in Nigeria is a tale of empire, identity, and the quiet consolidation of power. It is a fraternity that began as a tool for colonial rule but was masterfully adopted by the indigenous elite, who recognized its utility for their own ascendancy. From founding fathers to traditional kings and modern-day power brokers, the names are now out in the open, not as a shocking exposure, but as a verifiable part of history. But the full story remains hidden. The true nature of their influence, the details of the deals and alliances forged within the closed doors of the lodge, these things are not written in history books. They are secrets held by the brothers themselves. And this raises the most profound question of all, not just for Nigeria, but for every nation where this fraternity operates. In a democracy that prides itself on transparency and accountability, what is the true cost of a network whose power is built on brotherhood and secrecy? If you found this documentary revealing, share this video. If you are Nigerian or have insider stories, names, documents, personal experience, drop your insights in the comments. Do you recognize people in power today whose connections to Freemasonry might matter? Because in the shadowy world of influence, knowledge is power. Let's shine some light together. We know some of the lodges. But do you know who among the next generation of political power brokers, governors, senators, business tycoons, is pulling strings in lodge corridors, right now, out of public view? That's our next investigation. Stay tuned.